Alright, so the last time we were here, we set up this structure, and that is we initialized the loop, we decided how to get in and out of it, and we know how we get out of it, whether we're out of it or not. Okay, we're going to add two inputs, and one is child name, and we're going to ask what is the child's name, and the second input is going to be the gender, because we need to know whether it's a boy or a girl in order to be able to make these lists on the right hand side. So we say gender, then boy or girl, making sure that we're going to use all lowercase so it all matches up. Okay, once we have this structure in, our next step is to make a decision on whether this is a boy or a girl. So we're going to go ahead and make a decision, and that decision is going to be based upon the gender. So we're going to say gender equals boy. Okay, we're done with that. Now, if you notice that we're going to have to put 1, 2, 3 over here. So we're going to need a counter in order to be able to count the names as they come in. But we're going to use that counter for another reason, and that is when we come in, the first record is going to include the boy's name's header. So it's going to be different from all the other entries. Once we have boys names : 1 dot space Tom, then the next time it comes through, we don't want to include boys names : so we're going to say keep this and then just add the next record. And that's why we have to make a decision on whether it's the first time, which is to include the header, or every other time, which does not include the header. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a header first, and that header, the counter, and the counter is going to be boy count, or boy counter equals boy counter plus 1. And how it will work is first time through, it'll be 0 in boy counter, so we'll take 0 plus 1 and put 1 in boy counter. Next time we come through, 1 will be in boy counter, and then we'll add 1 to it, making it 2, and storing 2, and then going around and around 3, 4, 5 as we go through. Now we can see if this works by putting an output here, and again I recommend that you test as you go so that you don't end up typing or putting a bunch of symbols on there and finding out that half of them are incorrect. So what we want to do is we want to output the boy counter just to make sure it's counting, and then I'm going to go ahead and test it, and the child's name is Tom, and he's a boy, and you can see the 1 pops up. Alright, so that's the counter. And then we'll say yes, we have another name because we don't know if it counts yet. And we're going to go Bill, and it's a boy, and now it says 2, so we can see that our counter is working just fine, and we're done looping. Alright, so what we want to do is, once we know that we can count, the next thing we're going to do is make a decision, and this decision is going to be whether this is the first time in the loop or this is every other time. So the condition we're going to use is boy counter equals 1. Okay, that means that this is the first time through, and what we're going to want to do is then create this header right here. And we're going to do that with an assignment. Okay, this assignment, I'm going to call this boy accum. Now the suffix of accum doesn't mean anything except to another human, and that will let me know, oh, this is an accumulator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this with the text boys names : space. Alright, and that's my first part of the header. Then I'm going to join this, and I'm not going to join it with number 1, although I could because first time through will always be 1, but I'm going to go ahead and use the boy counter because the boy counter has 1. So boy counter, this is the first time through, so boy counter has to be 1, and then I'm going to join that with this punctuation, a 1. So there's the 1, a dot and 2 spaces. So a dot, 2 spaces, and I close the quote. And then I want to join that with the name, and we call that child name. And then I'm going to move this output over here because now I want to test this. I know the counter works. So instead of boy counter, now I want to see if boy accum is working. Now I'll go ahead and test it. So the child's name is Tom. He is a boy. So boy's name's one Tom. We can't stack it, but you can see it looks the same as this does. So there's my first record. Now if I did it again and put in Bill, it would go around again and it would say boy's name's 2 Bill and then boy's name's 3 Ed, and I'd lose the 1 Tom and the 2 Bill. That's why we're going to use an accumulator next for every other record. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and shut this down. Okay, now we have our next thing we're going to do is now we're going to put an assignment on this side that's going to allow us to accumulate every other record. Alright, we're going to use the same boy accum, and we're going to start this out with boy accum. And the reason why we're doing that is that's what's going to allow us to keep the first record. If we didn't put a boy accum in there, every record after would replace what was in boy accum. We say, well, preserve what's in boy accum and then add to it or join that. And we need a separator here, so I'm just going to put a semicolon and 2 spaces. And that's going to separate the M in Tom, which is the end of the first record, with the 2 for Bill, the next record. All right, and then I'm going to join that with boy counter. So I need to run out of room here. And then I'm going to join that with a dot and 2 spaces. And then I'm going to join that with child name. Alright, so first time through we get Tom, we get this boy's name's 1 Tom. Next time through it says keep boy's name's 1 Tom and join with that after this space 2 Bill, and then come around again and keep the first and second one and then just add 3 Ed. Alright, so let's see if this is going to work. Now I'm going to take boy accum and move it to here so that we see it every time it goes around. Okay, so now the child's name is Tom. He is a boy. And boy's name's Tom1. Excellent, so that's working. And then we'll go around again. And this time the child's name is Bill. And is a boy. Whoops. And there is boy's name's 1 Tom 2 Bill. So it kept, this is boy accum, joined with a semicolon, a space, and then the boy counter, a dot, 2 spaces, and the child's name. Let's go around one more time. And do you have another name? We're going to say yes. This is going to be Ed. And this is a boy. And you can see now, absolutely perfect. We are done with the boys side. When I come back again, I'm going to show you an easy way to now build the girls side. Now what we want to do is we want to build and test first one side. Once this is working, we're going to very easily transfer that to the girls side.